This is probably going to sound really silly to some of you who have not played DayZ, but when I first played that game over 10 years ago, it taught me something so incredibly profound about life, or at the very least, it felt that way. And it changed the way that I viewed media and real world situations. And I want to talk about that in this video. Let me set the scene for you here. Back in 2012, I was a junior in college. I was broke. I didn't have any business buying a game, but I did watch a lot of videos of games. And one of the channels that I watched a lot was Rooster Teeth, just like a lot of other people. And in June of 2012, Rooster Teeth posted a video that was a game spotlight style video. And Bernie was showing Gavin and Gus this cool new mod that he had found for a game that scratched this itch they had been talking about, I think, on one of the episodes of the podcast. What they were hoping to find in some game somewhere was really meaningful permadeath of your character that you're playing. And DayZ fit right into that really nicely. And so in this video, Bernie is showing Gavin and Gus all the cool things about this mod and all the neat things that DayZ has to offer. And there's gameplay. And I became obsessed with that game after watching that video. I watched YouTube videos like crazy. I'm reading all these messages on Reddit. I even posted on the DayZ subreddit asking people, what do you think about the game? Is it worth buying the Arma 2 standalone game and the Operation Arrowhead DLC just to be able to play this mod? Everyone's like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. You should totally play this. It's really cool. I didn't have $30 at the time to buy this game. And randomly, somebody sent me a message in my inbox on Reddit, asked for my Steam friend ID code, and they gifted me the game. I can't believe somebody did that. If you are out there, I forget your name, you don't know my name, but if you gifted somebody a copy of Arma 2 plus the DLC back in 2012, thank you so much, because that was me. After I installed that game, I didn't fail out of school by any means, but I think there was a dip in my grades probably at that time because all I wanted to do was play DayZ. I was obsessed with crawling around out in the woods, stalking any player that I saw, slowly approaching these big cities. The map was this huge unknown landscape of possible cool loot that I could find, but also death was around every corner. And man, once you invest a couple of real life days into a character and you have a gun, it's not a good gun, but it's a gun that can protect you, and you have food and bandages, and you become this self-sustained little army. Me personally, I was taking zero risk in that game. I was as careful as possible everywhere that I went. And every time I saw somebody, my heart would start racing because my life could end at that moment. And I think at that time, whenever the mod had just come out for a little while, there really wasn't a lot of variety in the servers that you could hop into. Like, I think you could do like first or third person, and later on in the lifespan of the mod, way cooler stuff came out. But originally, if I'm remembering it correctly, most of the servers you hop into didn't vary all that much, and the loot was really similar across servers. And so everybody was kind of playing the same game, and that game was survive, don't trust other people, and try to get as much good gear for yourself as possible because there's not a lot of it. And when you find something really cool or really useful, it was like, holy shit, I have hit the jackpot. I have to hold on to this. The stakes of dying felt real. Like I was attached to the gear that I had acquired because it took so long to get all the stuff I had. I had to fight so many zombies. I had to actually win firefights against other players. It was the point that I had reached with my character was this end state of all these series of engagements that I came out on top. So like you grow attached to this walking set of pixels that you're playing on screen, you know? And I think a lot of other people felt the same way because there really wasn't anything else like this game out at the time. And I remember the sensation of dying for the first time with that character that I had managed to keep alive for days of real life time. I was so irritated. I was so frustrated with the situation that had happened. And I felt real lost because I had lost these pixels on my screen that were in my digital backpack. But I know that sounds so silly to be emotionally affected to a great degree by a can of beans and a pistol and a rifle in your little bitty coyote backpack that you have on. But I think other people felt the same way, because every time I would meet somebody who had some gear, it was either a kill on sight engagement or people were extremely standoffish. Or a third option was one guy playing the I'm just a friendly, hey, don't shoot me. And he's got a buddy hiding behind a wall or out in the woods somewhere with a long range sniper that's pointed at my chest, and they bait me into walking into some area and they take all my gear. And those experiences are what taught me I can't trust other people, because all of these other players view their in-game loot the same way that I did, as it's a valuable resource, and we're all kind of playing this zero-sum game in a way to where there are only so many M16s on this server. And if you have one, that means I can't have it. So I'm just going to take it from you because I want to keep my stuff alive. I don't care about you. And sorry, buddy, that's just the way it goes. To tie a bow on this experience with DayZ here and make it more concise, DayZ taught me how ruthless people are when it comes to the preservation of things that matter to them. And even though it's a video game, it gave me this really interesting look into human behavior and human psychology with resource hoarding and resource scarcity that made me view real world situations very differently. A good example of that is at about the same time, the show The Walking Dead was huge. And I was watching The Walking Dead while playing DayZ. It was just like this awesome combination. And I remember watching that show and seeing the way that Rick would handle engagements with strangers. And after a while, I was like, man, Shane should have killed Rick, because that's not how you handle that at all. It in a situation like that, you could never trust a single person that you saw. If you were a solo, sure, because you might want to risk a situation where you hope that these people who seem friendly actually are, and they can help you, because your strength as a survivor will increase if you have more numbers. But if you have like your wife and your kids are with you, or you have some friends who lived on your street in your neighborhood that you knew since you were kids or whatever, like people that you actually know, there's no room to make any type of judgment error with some stranger who's like, hey, we're friendly, we just need some water, do you have any? No, not at all. There is absolutely no room for that in the real world. And DayZ made me realize that. I know that talking about this in a video game is very different than actually taking someone's life in the real world in some end of world apocalyptic scenario, but it made me think about that a lot more. And I live in Houston, and we've had our fair share of natural disasters over the last 10 years. And you see a little glimpse of that with people when it comes to needing water, needing food. You know, you go to the grocery store and they've been out of water for a while, and people's faucets don't work. And you can kind of feel desperation in people around you. And the more densely populated an area is, the more the anxiety just goes up, and you can feel that tension all around you. And my time in DayZ has, I think, trained my brain to see those situations and not really be a prepper, but be ready for stuff before a problem happens, right? Have water at the house all the time. Have bottles of water just there. Have canned food. Have that kind of stuff ready, because I don't think that I would want to be around other people at a time of real resource scarcity. I've floated this out on TikTok in the past, and some of the responses are like, "Nah, you don't really understand how people would behave, because in real times of desperation, humans band together." And yeah, that would happen to a certain extent, but I think the level of desperation also increases the level of violence, right? If there's a decent amount of food and water and survival resources in any situation, I don't think people get that crazy. If it's something like living out in the wilderness type environment, like in The Last of Us, you know, the end of that game, whenever you're fighting the cannibals in that winter camp, like I get it. You know, I could see that happening with a lot of people, because you would be so desperate, you would turn to certain measures that seem just so incomprehensibly immoral. But it's either do that or die, one of the two. And if you have your family with you, if you have people that you care about, you're going to do really, really terrible stuff. It's funny to me that all of this epiphany that I had in college of like, man, people are really bad. People are horrible. Like, all of that came from playing DayZ, where I'm crawling around out in the woods, you know, stalking some dude that has a can of beans that I want. And in my brain, I was like, sorry, bud, it's either you or me.